Hello and welcome everyone to round number 5 of the Goodyear FIA European Truck Racing Championship. Welcome to Most, to the Czech Republic, where truck racing has a huge history starting in the early 90s. And who is going to set their specific moment in the history of truck racing today? Here at the Autodrome, we are ahead of race number 1, and we are so glad to be back here. It's grid walk time. You can see everyone is cheering up for the drivers. They are standing outside of their trucks, but they had a job to done, which was qualifying, of course, and we want to see and have a look at the results.
Yes, absolutely. Hello, everybody. Chaz Draycott here, commentating on the Goodyear FIA European Truck Racing Championship for 2024. Great to be back after the summer break, and all the drivers and teams were very excited to be back as well, with the first qualifying session going on yesterday afternoon. It was Norbert Kisch that went fastest in the end, with only just a few tenths of a second, or barely even a tenth of a second, over Jochen Hahn, with Sascha Lenz in third place. One of the main surprises being that Antonio Albacete was last in the final part of qualifying, resulting in a 6th place start on the grid. It was Mark Taylor that was fastest in the Chrome class ahead of John Newell, and then Louis Requenco. Jose Eduardo Rodriguez not quite having the sort of qualifying session that he would have been hoping for, coming here as the Chrome Championship leader. But it's been very, very busy, and of course loads of work to be done by the teams as they come back after the summer break, and it's going to be a great afternoon's racing.
In general, what's your resume of this Friday qualifying? Are you happy with your position for sure, but with your time?
Oh yeah, for sure. Position is, we are happy, obviously they miss pole position, but, I think I could have done a bit better lap time. I think there was a bit more in it. But, it was enough. It was a bit of a hectic qualifying, it was raining in the middle as well. Which was a bit scary for a moment, but then it stopped pretty soon, so no problem there. But obviously it's coming here Friday, doing the 2 quick free practices and then go to qualifying immediately is always difficult and challenging. So I felt that today.
As you can see, Norbert Kisch finding it challenging indeed. Very, very close between himself and Jochen Hahn at the very front of the order. And these are what the conditions look like today then here at Most. It's still a very warm environment here in Czechia. It was actually raining on the qualifying Friday, as Norby mentioned there, but only a brief shower. We've had a lot of wet races here in the past at the Czech Republic circuit of Most, but you can see the beautiful, beautiful scenery that we are surrounded by here. It's gorgeous. Here is the starting grid then for the first race of the weekend. Norbert Kisch starts on pole position with Jochen Hahn alongside him. Next up on row 2 is Sascha Lenz and Andrei Kurzim going well in 4th position. Steffi Halm will line up 5th alongside Antonio Albacete, with Mark Taylor and John Newell the pace setters in the Chrome class so far. Louis Requenco and Clemens Hecker will complete the top 10, ahead of Jose Eduardo Rodriguez, who lines up against second placed in the Chrome Championship, Stefan Faas. Bradley Smith returns once again for the weekend with Don't Touch Racing for the rest of the season, now running the number 33. It's important to note that Bradley's earlier points in the championship, when he was running number 46 at Misano, are no longer counted, as it's basically a different entry now as he runs the number 33. But we're going to go back down onto the grid and back to Christina.
Thank you very much, and we want to take a moment to remember one of the remarkable persons in truck racing. David Atkins sadly passed away earlier this month, and we want to contribute his effort to truck racing, and of course all the fans and the teams and the drivers that took a minute of silence to honor this figure in truck racing. And he brought also Stefan Honens into truck racing. So what was so remarkable about David Atkins?
Yeah, so hello everybody. We just had that minute of silence with all the drivers and officials, and I'm still a little bit sad. Anyway, so yeah, David Atkins. David Atkins started in 1984 at the first ever truck race at Donington. Quite successful, and then later, long story short, later through the years, it turned out that his race trucks were faster than when Mercedes pulled in with the factory, were faster than the Mercedes trucks, and he got invited by Mercedes-Benz, and from then on he had a Mercedes factory truck, and which with Steve Paris, which he guided to great success. So at the end of 2001, when Mercedes-Benz or the factories pulled out, he started a new project with me and Castrol to design his own race truck, which was also quite successful right from the beginning, and it ended, or not ended, but this guided into or led into the European champion title with Stuart Oliver in 2004. So David is one like a, for me, he was more or less like a father. He taught me so much, even in technical, I was a little bit ahead, but in political direction, deal with the FIA, deal with officials, deal with circuits. So I learned so much from him, and he was a great friend. And I don't know what to say. I'm really sad, and I think the whole circus lost a very big character. Also, he was always up bringing new people to the sport, promoting the sport, very good relationships within BP. Always his main sponsor was always BP related, and it's a great loss for all of us.
Absolutely, you can feel that, as you mentioned, at the minute of silence, it was very emotional, and also the messages the family received. We want to, of course, speak our condolences to the family of David Atkins also. Soon as you entered the team then in 2002, so what characteristics made him so convincing for everyone? Because he was really also a great character to talk to.
First of all, he was the most honest and straight guy I ever met. There was no left and right. So how can I say, he followed the rules. There was no ifs and buts, and that made him, for me, always for somebody to look up. And he gave me the chance to work for him, even when I started with Gerd Körber and Bickel Tuning in '96 and met him there already. And I always was looking up for him, because always in his team there was something going on, either political or jokes, always good fun. And he was always there for good atmosphere. You know, he was always there to how can I say, to pull sponsors on board and really help and support the sport in any way or form he could. So it was really a shame that at the end of 2007 his main sponsor pulled out, but he was always saying he wanted to go to New Zealand and live there, which he did then in the end. So at the end of 2007 he sold everything, went to New Zealand. And a couple of years later, he had to come back to save his business. He's also a very his business is a very successful Bosch agent in England and Mansfield. And when he went to New Zealand, he gave the workforce the power to keep it running, but then also for political reasons with inside Bosch. So he had to come back to purchase new equipment to follow the new rules and new technologies like common rail diesel injection and so on and so on. Also, there has family reasons, because his daughter wanted to study he wanted to be like a vet, it's better to do that in England than Oceania, I was told. So I'm not really sure about that. But so the family came back basically underneath the line. And then I had the luck that he every now and then he joined us at the race circus as an advisor, and also supported me and some others in like political procedures and so on. So for me personally, it's really a big loss.
Absolutely, and a legacy, and he will never be forgotten. Thank you very much, Stefan Honens, for giving us an insight of the personality of David Atkins, a special character of the truck racing, not only British but also European Championship. So we're going to gear up soon, take a look at the race number 1, and welcome our commentators.
Thank you very much, Christina. Lovely, lovely words there by Stefan Honens, and I absolutely mirror the sentiment as well. There was a lot of times where we'd spend fantastic race evenings over the course of a weekend with David, and as Stefan said, there was no ifs or buts. He said it how it was, and he was an absolutely amazing person to have around, and he will be sorely missed. In just a moment's time, everybody, we will be welcoming our international TV audience to the show for the first race, so I'm going to go quiet, so I'll speak to you in a sec.
The Autodrome Most here, located in the Czech Republic, one of the prominent figures in truck racing. It's time to race. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Goodyear FIA European Truck Racing Championship. And this track is absolutely known for its, of course, renowned track and also the straights and also the turns. And it's so exciting to see those truck drivers right now. How will they compete today? It's crucial, this event here in Most. It's mid-season time. And of course, we are absolutely excited to see the grid walk, to see the fans here. They need to get out, of course, because the drivers need to prepare, and we need also that. So yesterday's qualifying led up to those two here in the front row. It's Norbert Kisch and also it's Jochen Hahn, and of course they are followed by Sascha Lenz and André Kurzem. Small surprise, and we're going to see and have a look who will be on the podium later on. We want to welcome our commentators back again. For English commentary, it's Ches Drakert, and so we are happy to be back here at the Czech Republic.
Thank you, Christina. Yes, hello everybody. Chaz Draycott here for the 2024 Goodyear FIA European Truck Racing Championship. Great to have you back with us after the summer break. It feels like absolutely forever since we were at the Nürburgring, and it's a delight to be here at Autodrome Most. What a fantastic circuit this place is. Always throws up a very, very big surprise weather-wise, and I really do look forward to seeing if that becomes a factor over the course of the weekend. A really challenging track though, loads of very twisty sections, but also a lot of weight transfer for the trucks to talk about. It's something that I always mention, is the weight transfer of these trucks. You've got to be really on it for the momentum. As our cameraman has a little bit of a spin around there. We're going to have a look at the track layout here, though, at Most, so you can see what this technical circuit really has in store for our drivers. We have so many corners here, 21 corners. And the final sector in particular is very difficult on those front tyres. But turns 1 and 2 down into that chicane, a key and pivotal braking point. Turns 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10, all the way over on the left-hand side of your screen there, really do open up so many overtaking opportunities here. But again, we've had in the past where it's been wet on the left-hand side of the circuit and completely dry on the right-hand side of the circuit, on that, as that map goes anyway. So there's a lot to look forward to. Really excited to get things back underway. The drivers and teams have been working hard over the summer break to fine-tune everything that they can, and this is how they're going to line up for the first race of the weekend. Norbert Kisch on pole position with Jochen Hahn alongside him, and then it's Sascha Lenz and André Kurzem on the second row. Steffi Halm will line up fifth, with Antonio Albacete completing the top 6 for the Titan drivers. Mark Taylor and John Newell will be on the fourth row at the head of the Chrome field. It's then Louis Requenco and Heinrich Clemens-Hecker ahead of Jose Eduardo Rodriguez and Stefan Fass, first and second in the Chrome category, lining up 11th and 12th on the grid. Bradley Smith will line up 13th in the number 33 truck, racing with Don't Touch Racing for the remainder of the season. The fans are out in force here, though, and they've cleared the grid now, but we're going to go back down to speak to Christina.
We are here at row number 4. Mark Taylor, as soon as he is able to speak to us, oh yeah, he is. He finished on podium at the Nürburgring, which brought him closer to Stefan Faas. And of course, you want to gain more points. Hello and welcome. So how is it going right now, the qualifying? How happy are you from starting from row number 4?
We're happy where we are. We qualified 7th, so it puts us in midfield for a good start for the race.
And of course, this is very challenging here to racing in Most. What makes it so special?
Most is a very good track. It makes it more special because we visit it twice a year, because we come here for testing at the beginning of the year.
How did that went?
The testing went better in racing last year.
That sounds good. Yeah, we won't forget the racing of the last year. But right now, it's time to write a new history. And of course, we want to see who's then further ahead for him. It's, of course, team Steffi Halm, and she's accompanied by Antonio Albacete on the row. So let's maybe have a small chat with her. The door is open, which always gives us a sign to have a small chat with Steffi Halm. So this is very challenging, this track here in Most, and it's absolutely exciting to see you compete there. What makes it so difficult to enter this racetrack?
You know, here the track is very special because of the ground. Yesterday was very hot, so for everybody it was very challenging to find the right pressure for the tires, the right setup. So it was not that easy, and today the weather condition changed a little bit. It's sunny, but not that warm like yesterday. So So I think everybody of us is starting a little bit from zero. But I think also for all the drivers who are driving here, it's the best known track because the pre-season tests 3 days before the season starts. More or less all the tracks are here for testing. So for sure it will be very challenging now during the race because of the changing condition.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Steffi Ham. This is so interesting to see. And maybe we're going to see a very high qualifying race because of the quality. I wanted to say qualifying quality of the race because everyone could test here. And we are absolutely eager to see who's going to compete best today.
It's very challenging for the drivers. You really have to be switched on around this track. There's not many sections other than the start-finish straight where you really get a break and get a moment to sort of check over everything with your machine, make sure it's running as well as possible, because there's so many long sweeping corners here. Even after the first chicane that we have here at the start of the lap, it's a long sweeping left-hander down the hill. It's not even really a straight, so you have to be constantly on it there. We've seen many overtakes there before. I remember seeing on the Goodyear FIA European Truck Racing Championship social media over the week that we had... Oh, we need to nip down to Christina, I'm told. Bear with me, I'll come back to that.
Yeah, we're having a chat right now with a German colleague, Sascha Lenz. So everyone was testing in Most, but maybe can be a really high quality of this race. What do you expect today?
You know, we need a really good start. The qualifying was so... But we find anything in the evening. So in the morning the warm-up was good. So now we have a race, and it's every time quickly the first lap or first 2 laps. So we will see.
Sounds that the team didn't get much sleep.
Sorry?
Hat das Team nicht so viel schlafen können, weil ihr viel machen musstet? Oder das hat was
angefangen? No. That was only small things. So it was really quick.
Time to race, everyone. Time to race. Thank you very much. That was the last impression of Sascha Lenz competing from place number 3.
Thank you, Christina. It is now time to get things underway after what feels like an absolute age of a summer break since the Nürburgring, but really looking forward to getting this one underway now. This is the Ford F-Max inspection lap that is on at the moment. This is the official truck of the Goodyear FIA European Truck Racing Championship with the wonderful May Fisher behind the wheel. Had a fantastic weekend in Germany at the Nürburgring, seeing May and all of the officials behind the series. Had a really good laugh, and this fantastic machine is of course used around the circuit to check that there's no debris, no spillages, anything that could cause the race to be delayed or any problems once the race gets underway. And it's fantastic to have Ford Trucks on board as a partner for the championship once again this year, providing us with these 2 lovely Ford F-Maxes, this orange example and a blue and white one that will also be in the fan village as well inside the paddock. Not sure if May's got any special guests on board for this first lap of the weekend. Usually we'll throw a guest into the passenger seat for these inspection laps, and it's always a real treat to be driven around the circuit. Most is definitely one to visit if you are interested in following the series all over Europe. It's one of the most technical and challenging circuits on the calendar for sure. It's one of the real highlights for all the drivers. I don't think there's any of the drivers that don't enjoy this place. It's definitely one of my favourite to watch as well. I love this circuit so much. There's Tim Frost and Sven Walter having a bit of a laugh there in the pit lane. A lot of the crew chiefs there will be stood in that position watching the start-finish line and watching the lights gantry, because when the lights go green, they will shout down their microphones to their drivers and let them know when to go. Some of the drivers further down the order can't always see the lights from where they are, so they need that bit of guidance from their race engineers, and that's where they all sort of culminate together in the pit lane to get a good view of the lights, so they know when to get on the gas, or at least get off the brakes, because a lot of the drivers, they will be almost flat out on the throttle, building up the boost, getting the turbochargers all spooled up, and they'll be holding the brakes at the same time. You'll see the drivers go into the start-finish line with the brakes applied, and then it's just a case of let off the brakes, floor it, and off they go, up to 100 miles an hour, or 160 kilometers an hour to you and I. At the moment, it's Norbert Kisch leading the championship, 233 points, ahead of Jochen Hahn on 178. Norby has a considerable lead there, aiming towards his 6th championship title to match Jochen Hahn. Jochen comes off the back of, well, he's actually on a streak of podiums at the moment. 8 podium finishes in a row, 6 of them second places. He's had 1 win and a 3rd place from the last 8 races. The last time he wasn't on the podium was the 4th race of the weekend at Slovakia, which was round 8 of the championship. This will be the 17th race of the season, and it's going to be a fantastic time, I can tell you that for free. Andre Kurzem will be looking for big things from 4th on the grid. Steffi Halm lines up 5th ahead of Antonio Albacete in 6th place. And then the chrome category as well is worth thinking about. We've got Louis Requenco 3rd in that class ahead of Heinrich Clemens Hecker. And then Stefan Faas lines up alongside Jose Eduardo Rodriguez. As you can see there, the Iveco S-Way at the front of the field is bio-LNG powered. Reduces up to 95% of the emissions with no difference as operational as a driver. Norbert Kish and Jochen Hahn then make up the front row of the grid. Sascha Lenz lines up alongside Andre Kurzem on row 2. Andre hoping to get big points here. They've always had a bit of bad luck here at Most, and it seems like they're looking to turn that round so far. Steffi Halm ahead of Antonio Albacete. Antonio dropped to 4th in the championship despite winning the last race at the Nürburgring, so he's going to hope to get back ahead of Sascha Lenz. Then we have Mark Taylor and John Newell, the British duo, on the 4th row of the grid, heading the chrome category. Then it's Louis Requenco in 9th place, Heinrich Clemens Hecker in 10th position. And then the top 2 in the chrome championship at the moment, Jose Eduardo Rodriguez ahead of Stefan Faas, the 2 of them 11th and 12th on the grid. No Lucas Hahn for them to think about this weekend. Lucas has been a real front runner in the category. Bradley Smith returning once again in truck number 33. He lines up 13th on the grid for this occasion. But the bio-LNG powered Iveco S-Way with Frank the Tank behind the wheel leads us down towards the later stages of the lap. There's a lot of corners on this circuit to think about for these drivers. Like I say, 21 turns in total. It's not a circuit that's got a lot of different layouts either. We go to a number of circuits, such as Misano, for example, where there's so many different layouts of the track that you could use. Most is pretty much just a one layout circuit. The only difference is the first chicane. There is a layout of the track where they cut the first chicane and almost go completely straight on, but obviously with our trucks here, it's great to have the added corner on the circuit, but also for safety as well. These things are 5 tons at the end of the day, and they enter that chicane onto the brakes from 100 miles an hour. So it's always best to take an opportunity where you can to slow these things down a little bit. But we now round the final corner, and Norbert Kish is going to lead us to the start of the race. A quick word to say thank you to Total Energies and Yoast, 2 main partners, as well as Goodyear, of course, the title sponsor of the Goodyear FIA European Truck Racing Championship. There's the race engineers ready to shout away. You can see them controlling their breath there just so they can definitely get the biggest shout they can down the ears of their drivers, and we're underway for round 17 of the 2024 championship. Sascha Lenz gets a really good run up to the back of Norbert Kish, who's down the inside of Jochen Hahn. Andre Kurzem hanging out wide on the outside just to make sure he doesn't get in any trouble. Jochen Hahn's gone into a spin deep into the corner, and look at that, Andre Kurzem hops across the gravel. Can he get it stopped so he doesn't get back in the way of the circuit or anybody else in the field for that matter? Antonio Albacete has had a really poor start and dropped a number of positions. Not sure if there was any initial contact that caused all of that, but look at Mark Taylor. He's up to 5th position already, if I can count correctly, and I can, it seems. That's a miracle. But look at that. Steffi Halm up ahead of Sascha Lenz, then Mark Taylor, John Newell in there, Jose Eduardo Rodriguez gaining places as well. Andre Kurzem clipped the left rear of Jochen Hahn's truck as he got out of shape. I think he got a bit of a push into that first chicane, and that's what caused the contact and hopped him up in the air. But Steffi Halm up to 3rd place now as well. Norbert Kish with a decent lead after all of that shenanigans. Looks like everybody's still running, I believe. Or is there a problem for Albacete? No, he was in the middle of the pack there. I do apologise. Still there in 9th place, but what was not a usual qualifying performance from Antonio has dropped him down even further at the start of this race. Anyway, only 12 trucks have ticked through the timing beams there, actually, by the look of it, at the end of Sector 1. So we are a truck down at the moment, it seems. There is Curzim and Albacete. Clemens Hecker lost a bunch of positions in all of that as well. That was a big shake-up. Mark Taylor leads the chrome category then. In fact, it seems like somebody's transponder isn't picking them up. It's actually Norbert Kisch's transponder. I was just trying to figure out who was missing and never thought to look at the top of the board. For some reason, it's saying that Jochen Hahn is the race leader. We'll see what happens there then as they cross the line, because Norbert Kisch's transponder, there it is. It's just kicked into life now, and there you go. It's just come up on your screen. As into the pits comes Clemens Hecker, and oh, that's the medical car, the Hyundai that was chasing them down. Just saw the top of the truck for a moment there, and I wondered who was behind Heinrich Clemens Hecker. But it's Norbert Kisch leading the way. Jochen Hahn in second place, Steffi Halm in third, then Sasha Lenz and Mark Taylor. Oh, that is a big wide moment there for John Newell, just going a little bit too hot on the exit of the chicane. He's going to be under pressure now from Jose Eduardo Rodriguez as they head down the hill. Louis Requenco is the next truck behind them. Yeah, it seems like Norbert Kisch not being picked up through sector 1 for some reason. As he crosses the line, it's fine, but the transponder not showing up anywhere else, which is very strange. Here's the interchrome battle. Jose Eduardo Rodriguez already, if I can get my words out, into a podium position in class. Overall position at the moment for these two is actually 6th and 7th. John Newell, Jose Eduardo Rodriguez. John and his team were very close to the wonderful David Atkins, who we mentioned earlier on. So they'll be emotional coming into this weekend, of course. Sasha Lenz there down the inside of Steffi Halm, needs to make back those places that he lost in the opening scuffle down at the chicane, but Steffi defending well. We've seen fantastic defensive performances from Steffi before. She really knows how to put the truck in the exact right place on the circuit, make it very difficult for people to come through. There's an incident under investigation here between trucks number 3 and 11. That's Sasha Lenz, who we look at now, and Andre Curzim, who had that big jump up into the air off the back of Jochen Hahn's truck. I wonder whether there may have been a little bit of contact with Sasha that caused that. Steffi there just leaning on that front left tyre as they head round. Here is the replay then. So, was there a bit of a touch from Sasha into Jochen? I think there was. Steffi moves to the right-hand side brilliantly. Antonio Albacete had to get out of it and get on the gravel, actually. That's why he lost a bunch of positions. He got onto the gravel to make sure that he didn't lose ground, or at least didn't sort of come into the second apex of the chicane and cause an issue. Andre Curzim was very lucky as well to get it properly stopped as he went across the gravel. I imagine it was quite a scary moment for Norbert Kisch, that, because all of a sudden you're exiting the chicane and there's a truck flying at you from the left-hand side. Steffi still defending now ahead of Sasha Lenz, wants to take another podium. So far this season, Steffi has 4 podium appearances and a race victory to her name as well, let's not forget. She won the second race of the weekend at the Nürburgring for the International Truck Grand Prix. And they head out of there, back down the hill. One of the most important sections of the circuit, this, to keep the speed up. This is turn 13. Almost reminiscent of the old hairpin at Donington Park here in the UK. You can see Jochen Hahn just holding on to his positions at the moment. Steffi Halm is having to work overtime here to keep Sasha Lenz at bay. Mark Taylor just behind in the background is going to be hoping to close in. Looking at the time, Mark only a tenth of a second or so off the track on that previous lap, actually. In fact, he was quicker than Sasha Lenz last time, because Sasha getting up a little bit. To back out of this. Sasha trying this way and that to look down the inside and get by Steffi, but still nothing doing at this point. You would have thought he'd try it down the inside into turn 3 and 11 for into round. We've got Sasha now just trying to the thing. It's very difficult. That's how it's going to be known anyway. Down towards turn 15, long right-hander. Huge Alden bridge. It's a good time to remind you that all of these trucks run a 100% renewable HVO diesel. Obviously, the observers around the circuit keep an eye on the black smoke or any potential black smoke that comes out of the exhausts of these trucks. But as part of the sustainability measures of the championship, we keep it all green and clean in as many ways as we can. Unfortunately, the big black clouds of the past are seemingly still synonymous in the minds of many when it comes to truck racing. But that's not always the way our trucks are. To be fair, some of the cleanest racing machines you will see around the world. Definitely the biggest. They are phenomenal bits of kit. This is John Newell and Jose Eduardo Rodriguez. Jose Eduardo certainly showing everybody how it's done of late in the chrome category. Antonio Albacete just behind those guys as well. It's great to see that Antonio has been working closely with Jose Eduardo. He's been working closely with him and the team to help refine the incredible talents of this young man. The steely determination of that number 38 Machines driver, completely unfazed. He's always got a move up his sleeve one way or another. We'll see what he can do in regards to getting past John Newell, or whether he's going to potentially allow Antonio Albacete through here to then see if Antonio can sort of unlock the door a little bit and try and get past John Newell. But looks like Jose doesn't want to wait around and find out at this point. He wants to get on with it and make the move, it seems. As Steffi Halm now having to defend very differently from Sasha Lenz, who tries to go around the outside at the right-hander at turn 15. He's now on the inside for turn 16. This is going to put him on the outside for 17, then the inside for 18. This is how this circuit works. Great pace around the outside there by Sasha Lenz. That's a lovely manoeuvre. Great respect by Steffi Halm as well. Gave him plenty of room to make the move and keep it clean. But that was excellent stuff, that by Sasha Lenz. You've got to love that. He set that up fantastically. Went one way, then the other, and again used the racing lines of this circuit and the sweeping nature of it to just carry the momentum around the outside, and he is now back up into a podium spot. And he wants to go chasing down Jochen Hahn. It's exactly what Sasha needs, that though, because let's not forget he and Antonio are in such a great scrap in the championship again for third place. He needs to gain as many points as he can over his Spanish rival. And in doing that, he's made the gap between the two of them ever bigger. That's an extra 2 points for Sasha. If he finishes where he is now, he'll be getting 12 points for finishing there. And with Albacete down in 8th position, he'll only be getting 3 points in the overall standings. Jose Eduardo Rodriguez very much stuck in the middle of this battle at the moment. Great time to remind you as well that the Goodyear FIA European Truck Racing Championship has been awarded the FIA 3-star Environmental Accreditation Award earlier this season. Huge hats off to the organisers and everyone working behind the scenes to get that award, and obviously uphold the very high standard that we have when it comes to the environmental aspects of this championship and the sustainability measures that are in place. The championship does aim to go carbon neutral. I believe the initial commitment was 2038 at the latest. And it's been making strides forward and forward to reach that goal. But look at these taking strides forward. Here is Jose Eduardo Rodriguez hoping to get past John Newell. Antonio Albacete isn't really closing in massively. I wonder if there's any issue or any damage from the earlier off, whether anything's been sort of knocked out of kilter slightly with the setup, whether the truck's behaving a little bit differently. Last time round he did a 2:03.9. Jose Eduardo Rodriguez did a 2:04.7, so he was 0.8 quicker, so he is closing in, but just not at the pace that he'd expect. I mean, nearly a second a lap quicker. You can't really moan at that, but you know what these drivers are like. They're all absolute perfectionists. Norbert Kiss still leads the race, though. 5 seconds now, give or take, ahead of Jochen Hahn. He's got another 5 seconds or so over Sascha Lenz after he had to battle his way past Steffi Halm earlier on. There is your race leader, Norbert Kiss. Just making his way now through the very twisty section down at turn 6, 7, 8 and 9, and then into turn 10, this long hairpin. I love that camera angle on the inside. We always get some great shots of the trucks leaning their way out of that corner. They have to grab an extra gear as well on the way out, so sometimes you see the truck just rock back and forth on that rear axle and really dive down on the left rear tyres. There is Jochen Hahn, second place at the moment. 6-time champion, the most decorated truck racing driver there is. He's doing everything right at the moment, just not quite able to match Norbert's pace exactly. But he's got a good bit of daylight between himself and third place Sascha Lenz, so he's under no pressure whatsoever at this point, is Jochen. It's a shame not to have his son Lucas back out there on the circuit again for this weekend. Lucas did say to me at the Nürburgring that he thought that the weekend in Germany was his last one of the season. It's a great shame, but it'll be lovely to see him again. He's usually at the races, still helping out with his father and the team, but just not in the capacity that he's racing alongside him, basically. Still, Jose Eduardo Rodriguez can't find a way past John Newell. John isn't being worked ridiculously hard here to defend, in fairness. Jose Eduardo's just putting those down the inside and filling the mirrors a little bit here and there, just to make sure that John is still very much kept on his toes. We're on to lap 8 out of 11 here in the first race of the weekend here at Autodrom Most. Thanks again to championship partners Yost and Total Energies. You can see the green fifth wheels on these trucks just over the rear axle. We've got a lovely little shark fin on to display the 100% renewable HVO Total Energies branding for this season. And as always, a massive thank you to Goodyear, the title sponsor of the Goodyear FIA European Truck Racing Championship. I'm sure Davide Califano from Goodyear is in and amongst the paddock somewhere, having a fantastic time. He's always got a smile on his face, is Davide. And of course Javier Martin as well, who will be down there in the paddock helping sort the teams out with all the tyres. He transports them all over Europe, takes beautiful pictures of all of his journeys as well. Just some of the amazing people that make this championship tick and continue to keep it at such a high standard. Antonio Albacete is very much in the picture now though, isn't he? Stefan Faas is not too far behind either in that Scania in the background. Andre Kurzim seems to be struggling a little bit with the damage that he had earlier on. But Antonio has a couple of laps left here to make some moves and potentially get higher up the order and score some more championship points. I just hope that it doesn't affect this battle between Jose Eduardo Rodriguez and John Newell too much. It's a bit of a stalemate at the moment, a bit of a Mexican standoff, you could say. The two of them just gliding their way around the circuit, but you can see that there's certain sections that turn in at particular corners where Jose Eduardo Rodriguez has a slight advantage here. He's just able to get the truck in, pinched into the apex a little bit more than John Newell. But John is still able to get the truck out the corner in a good enough way to hold the advantage. And we are around the final corner. Jose Eduardo Rodriguez takes a bit of a tighter line, a bit closer to the curb on the right, and then down the start-finish straight, almost completely even in terms of power. And then they get to that 100 miles an hour limit. They're governed to 100 miles an hour or 160 kilometers an hour. They are not allowed to exceed that speed. So there's no point being in the slipstream or standing or sitting right behind the truck in front of you, where you can take in the beautiful clean air that comes out as a result of the 100% renewable HVO diesel that they run on. I know that our graphics guy is going to be giggling at that one. Antonio, he's close to Jose Eduardo here, but Jose Eduardo is much closer to the back of John's truck at this point. I'm not sure if Antonio is making it clear that he's not going to attack or whether he's trying to send a very subtle message here. I'm not sure. I like to think that I know these drivers well enough to picture what their body language would be about certain moves and their approach to the race, but at this point Antonio's got me a little bit baffled right now. Norbert Kish has extended his race lead by another second. It's now 5.9 seconds over Jochen Hahn. There's definitely not that much daylight between Jose Eduardo Rodriguez and John Newell, though. This is very much a case of who's going to blink first between these pair. Normally you say that about pit stops or strategies as a commentator. But it's very difficult to get a 5-ton truck past another one on a circuit as technical as this. So Jose Eduardo Rodriguez here, by the look of it anyway, is waiting for a mistake from John. Either that or he's waiting until the very end of the race to make a move down the inside. I think Newell had a bit of a wobble there coming into turn 20. Just got to keep it tidy for turn 21, not let the pressure get to him. You can see Jose Eduardo takes mid-corner, a bit of a tighter line there, and then lets it run out a little bit further. I'm not sure if he's going to be scrubbing off speed as a result of that. But he moves over to the right, down the start-finish straight, not necessarily to look for a move, but just to get out of the hot air behind John's truck, as John's gone in too deep into the chicane, manages to slide the thing beautifully and save it, but he's going to be deep on the exit, tucks the truck in, and Jose Eduardo Rodriguez is going to make the move. The benefit there for John was that with all the weight over the front end of these trucks, it's so easy to save a slide. You can drift them beautifully, but Jose Eduardo Rodriguez took advantage, set himself up on the exit, and he is now up into 6th position on the road and up into 2nd place in the Chrome class. Stefan Faas, the 4th truck in your picture there, will not be happy to see that, because that's even more points that he will be losing in this championship fight to Jose Eduardo Rodriguez. Antonio Albacete needs to make himself known now and try and make a move past John as well. But you can see, look, Jose Eduardo, after that first sector, has just got on with it. And he's disappeared a little bit down the road. I wonder whether John's overdone it on the tyres early on. Maybe running a bit of an aggressive setup. It's very hot there at Most at the moment. And this circuit does chew through tyres on a dry day as well. We've had a lot of wet races here in the past, but when it's dry and hot, those tyres, while they are fantastic tyres from Goodyear on a harder compound than previous, nothing can stop how much this circuit chews through them. I just wonder whether John's setup is a little bit more aggressive on the rubber than the drivers around him. We're on to what will be the final lap of the race now. Norbert Kish leading the way, 10 laps completed. The timer in the top left of your screen tells you the lap number completed anyway, until it changes like that to final lap. Jochen Hahn now 7.5 seconds back. Sascha Lenz in 3rd place. These three still stuck together. Andrei Kurzim not too far out of the picture either. He's just behind these guys. Steffi Halm has been holding on to 4th. Mark Taylor is leading the Chrome category, which is something we've not really spoken about much over the course of this race, but Mark doing a fantastic job. Could be important for Antonio Albacete here to stay where he is, because if he finishes this race in 8th position, let's not forget that that would put him on pole position for race 2 of the weekend later on this afternoon. If you're watching in the UK, by the way, the broadcast will start at 2:15 UK time, 3:15 if you're in mainland Europe. And that'll be coming up a little bit later on with the top 8 positions from this race reversed on the grid. So Norbert Kish will be starting in 8th position, Antonio Albacete will be starting on pole, John Newell would be second ahead of Jose Eduardo Rodriguez and Mark Taylor. Could be a good chance that for Jose Eduardo to maybe take the victory in class. We'll have to see. John Newell still on for a podium in class at the moment. And this man still on for another win, and his 14th of the season out of the 17 races that we've had. Round turn 20 for the final time. It's been a hell of a performance to get the weekend underway after a great summer break for Norbert Kish. He plants his foot once more out of turn 21 and wins round 17 of the Goodyear FIA European Truck Racing Championship. A big round of applause from all the teams in the paddock and the pit lane. Jochen Hahn finishing in second place. I think we heard a bit of a celebratory drift from him as he came round the final corner there. And then Sascha Lenz will finish in third place. Mark Taylor will take the win in the Chrome class. Great stuff for Mark. And Jose Eduardo Rodriguez will be second. John Newell holds on in third, and that means that Antonio Albacete will be on pole position for race 2 later on this afternoon. He finishes ahead of Stefan Faas. Andre Kurzim rounds out the top 10. Then we have Louis Requenco, Bradley Smith and Clemens Hecker. But Norbert Kish back into winning ways once again. A great start to his weekend here at Autodrom Most. Jochen Hahn, more solid points for him in second, opening up that advantage over Sascha Lenz in the championship a little bit further. Mark Taylor, though, great stuff from him. 8 overall championship points there and a win in the Chrome class. And there is your podium. Trucks 1, 2 and 3, yet again, positions 1, 2 and 3. John Newell held on ahead of Antonio Albacete there at the end. I do wonder if there was any damage to Antonio's truck. Not to take anything away from John, but Antonio just didn't seem to get the pace dialed in that race, did he? I'll have to wait and see what the verdict is there, unfortunately. But that is the first race of the weekend done with. In the blink of an eye as well, actually. I think that one went by quite quickly, in all honesty. There is your Chrome winner, Mark Taylor. Fantastic result by Mark. Made the most of that very good qualifying. Finishing ahead of Jose Eduardo Rodriguez and then John Newell. The final point going to Andre Kurzim there. After starting 4th on the grid, he'll be a bit gutted with that one, to say the least. But Mark and the team will be delighted to have taken that one. Sascha Lenz as well had to make the move early on to get past Steffi Halm. And he did that after having to chase for a number of laps. Back up into third position and back on the podium once again. That, I believe, if I just do the maths here, is Sascha's 9th podium of the season, so nearly into double digits now for 2024. So far this season we've had 4 race winners and we have had 7 different overall podium finishes. Norbert Kish round the final corner into the pit lane, and he will come down into the pit lane to celebrate with the team before then being ushered over to the podium. Now they move into the paddock on the right-hand side here before the pit lane. There are other racing series sharing the circuit with us this weekend as well, so proceedings are moved into the paddock. You can see Janine Meyer welcoming the teams and the drivers in. Dominic Wilhelms there just on the right-hand side as well. You can see the podium and the interview area just in the background there. Jochen Hahn lines up to the left-hand side. And there is Bellew, the big red MAN of Rivage Racing. Jochen parks up next to Norby there with Sascha coming through this way. Sascha's going to go over to the other side. Now it's a little bit more difficult to organise a field of race trucks than it is with smaller GT cars or Formula cars, for example. Some of the trucks being guided back down to the paddock, which is just over behind where the podium is. You can see it popping up over the top of the black Vega truck there. Vega, the broadcasters for the championship. Always a joy to work with everybody there. A big shout out to all the great people that are on site from Vega, and of course the lovely team at Neumarkt that look after me and help me, well, just make my life very easy for what I do here with the championship. It's always a joy to work with them. And there is your Chrome winner alongside your overall race winner and Titan class winner. Any moment now, we'll see Norbert Kish. I think he's already out of the truck and walking around, I think. Jochen Hahn just getting out of the number 2 Iveco. I'm pretty sure we'll take a quick look at the race results before we have a word with some of the drivers. Let's have a quick look then, shall we? We have Norbert Kish taking the win, with Jochen Hahn second, Sasha Lenz third. Ahead of Steffi Halm, Mark Taylor wins the Chrome category. Then it's Jose Eduardo Rodriguez and John Newell completing that podium. Antonio Albacete next up ahead of Stefan Faas, and then Andrei Kurzim completing the top 10. Then it's Louis Requenco, Bradley Smith and Heinrich Clemens Hecker. We're going to go back down to Christina, who's going to speak to race winner Norbert Kish.
Absolutely, standing in the sunshine, another race win in the books. Congratulations, Norbert Kish. But we saw a small incident. What happened? Or what was happening with a small technical failure of the truck? What was it?
For me?
Yeah.
What did you see?
No.
I didn't notice anything.
Then it was absolutely perfectly fine, because I read a message that there's a transponder failure, but it wasn't.
Transponder failure.
No.
Well, I don't know about that, because I don't, the transponder, what measured by the transponder is seen on the outside. I don't see it on the inside if the transponder is going wrong, so.
Even better.
For me, it was, I don't know, it was fine, Yeah, I mean, medium start. At the braking at the first turn, Johan was very close on the outside, but I see that he maybe went a bit sideways, and then also Sasha, and then some crazy things started to happen in the first chicane, but thank God I was able to make the turn. Nobody hit me, or I had no touch with anybody. So I was clear, and then I see Andre coming across on the gravel, and I'm like, just stay on the left side, please, which he managed to do. So, I could get ahead already, had a 50 meters advantage after this little bit of a mix-up in the first chicane, and then, I just had to do my pace. Keep it stable, keep it steady, and win the race. So yeah, it was a good race. Good job again from Reves Racing Team. Very strong performance so far this weekend.
Thank you very much. And I can assure you, we also went, as Andrei Kurzim was by. So we're going to accompany right now to the podium. The way is up here. This is very interesting here in Most. As you can see, the drivers need to walk a bit. And we get to see and have a chance to talk to maybe another driver over here, if they're ready to. Sascha, kann ich dich kurz schnappen? Du bist ja gerade in der Päusle. Yes, we have an appointment here, interview appointment. But first, congratulations to the winner. So, what a race. We talked about it. This is very special here at Most, and you finished on P number 3 after small contact. Absolutely, no further actions taken after the contact with Andrei Kurzim. But how close was the situation there with you two?
Yeah, I have a good start, and then I'm missing a little bit the braking point on the first corner, or I think everybody do this. I see Andre going out and come back, and then we have a small contact, but yeah, it's what it is, it's racing, yeah.
Absolutely. We are walking slowly because of our cameraman. Thank you very much. He's very, very artistic, but this is why we need to just give it a gently walk.
A little bit relaxed. And
yes.
Yeah. No, I'm really happy, it's good for my sponsors, for my team. Yeah, we make a good job,
Yeah. Absolutely. Maybe it's don't take a risk on the stairs then. Thank you very much. Everyone is going to the podium right now. Back to you, Chaz. We don't want our cameraman to fall.
No, absolutely not. We could do with keeping our cameraman in one piece for the weekend. But there are the trucks lined up in the paddock. We're going to have a look now at the highlights of the race. You can see Frank the Tank walking back to the paddock there as well after his duties as the pace truck driver for this round. And as the drivers made their way to the grid earlier, there was a lot of pressure on them to come back from the summer break with the best performance they possibly could. Of course, there was so much preparation going into this next round of the championship, and it was Norbert Kish back on pole position once again with Jochen Hahn alongside him. Sascha Lenz was hoping to at least get some strong points from this race, knowing that Antonio Albacete was a bit further behind him. Apologies for the picture at the moment, everybody, though. It seems like we're still on board with Zorni as he heads to the podium. So we'll be catching up with them guys in just a second. Of course, the main talking point from that race will be the contact down at turn 1. We had Andre Kurzim and Antonio Albacete both losing a number of positions in that one from the very start of the race. They didn't really recover all the way back up to the positions they would have wanted to. Albacete finishing 8th in the end, Andre Kurzim finishing in 10th position, but still getting an overall championship point at least. Antonio Albacete losing out a number of points though to the likes of Sascha Lenz. The gap now between them will be 14 points in the favour of the number 3 machine. You can see there though the podium ready to get going in just a moment. And the drivers will be making their way around there now to collect their trophies for their podium finishes. And bottles of water, of course. Jochen Hahn, their 6-time champion, with Norbert Kish stood next to him. 5-time champion now. And all the fans and the support for Norby as well. There's usually a lot of Norby fans here at the Chechen round of the championship. They make the journey over from Hungary. You can see the lovely photographers of the championship. Andre Bircher was there, as well as Bernard Moritz. Also caught a glimpse earlier. Daria was down there. Daria Marina was there in the paddock. She's back with us for this weekend of the championship. Lovely to see her back with the series, providing me with a lot of information from behind the scenes. Sascha Lenz, the first driver to head up onto the podium for his 3rd place finish. That's his 9th podium of the season. Jochen Hahn will take the 2nd step on the podium. This is the 14th time we've had him on the podium this season. Lovely tricks with... Oh, nearly Jochen. I was going to say lovely tricks with the hat there. He nearly styled it out. He goes over to give Sascha a handshake. Handshakes all round for the top 3. And Norbert Kish, of course, your race winner for the 14th time this season. 16 podiums to his name so far in 2024. Well on his way to another title by the look of it. Trophy presented to Sascha. I think it goes the other way around, Sascha. Jochen Hahn gets his 2nd place trophy. We've always had really interesting trophies here at the Most round of the championship. Comical side of me wants to say it looks like my shower door with some gold on it. But they are very, very pretty trophies, though. I love a glass trophy, I have to say. Norbert Kish raises his trophy aloft, and now we will have the national anthem of our race-winning driver. Wasn't sure if I just couldn't hear the national anthem there or if nothing played. So apologies, everybody, if you didn't hear that. Sometimes with the microphone being so far away, we don't always hear the national anthem get played. Sascha's got his trophy the right way around now. Fantastic. There you have the traditional changing of the caps. Norby doesn't have his 2nd hat up on the podium this time. And then they pose for more pictures from all of the photographers down there in the centre. And it'll be time for champagne. Very happy Norbert Kish. Sascha Lenz will spray the media, spray everybody there. They don't tend to spray each other until later on in the day anyway. Norby gets our cameraman a little bit at least. And cheers all round. I think I may be in trouble with Barbara for mentioning that the trophies look like shower doors. Whoops, I did it again. Still, we're going to look at the championship standings in the overall category, the Titan category so far. And here is Norbert Kish at the top of the pile. 253 points to him now, 60 clear of Jochen Hahn, who is now 50 clear of Sascha Lenz. Antonio Albacete, 14 points behind Sascha, with Steffi Halm on 104. Jose Eduardo Rodriguez next up, and Andre Kurzim in 7th. Lucas Hahn holds on to 8th at the moment, but of course he's not here for this weekend. Stefan Faas is 9th, and Mark Taylor into 10th place on 33 points. He's ahead of John Newell on 25, Heinrich Clemens Hecker on 12, Louis Rikwenko on 4 points, and then Luke Garrett in 14th. We're really missing Luke and the team this weekend. Unfortunately, Luke has damaged a vertebra, so he'll be resting up and hoping to come back for the later rounds in the championship. But it's a massive shame not to have him and the team here. They've had such bad luck this season, but they've been really resilient and they've continued racing and continued pushing. It's been great to see. Another scene that's great to see, our podium finishers there in the chrome category. They're talking about their race as it just went out there. John Newell got overtaken by Jose Eduardo Rodriguez, but they're having a really friendly and clearly positive discussion about the race itself and how it went down. But this is the thing. We always talk about the one-truck family and how everybody gets on, but the drivers do genuinely all get on with each other really well and have a fantastic working relationship with one another. And then they go out and race together brilliantly on the circuit as well. So John Newell makes his way up to the podium, 3rd place for him. Another appearance on the podium for him and the team. Jose Eduardo Rodriguez takes his 13th podium of the season. And this is actually Mark Taylor's first chrome win of the season. It's his 7th appearance on the podium. Sorry, 8th appearance on the podium this season. I clearly can't count. That's his first chrome win of the championship for Mark in 2024. So very well done to him and the team. John collects the trophy for his 6th podium appearance. 13 podium appearances so far, including 8 race victories for Jose Eduardo Rodriguez. And Mark Taylor will raise the race-winning trophy aloft for the chrome category. And a big smile from Mark, followed by the British national anthem. There you go. I just have to judge when the national anthem finishes, basically. But we have Mark Taylor on the top step, joined by John Newell and Jose Eduardo Rodriguez. They're going to get their champagne now. Luckily, the media are far away enough now that they will not get drenched by all of our drivers. But cheers all round to the chrome category drivers. And we'll have a look in just a second at their championship standings as we come away from the 17th race of the season. Jose Eduardo Rodriguez now on 204 points, with Stefan Faas now under threat from Mark Taylor for 2nd place in the standings. 6 points between the two of them. John Newell holds on to 4th place. He's ahead of Lucas Hahn in 5th. Then it's Louis Rikwenko, Heinrich Clemens Hecker, Luke Garrett, Bradley Smith and Jonathan Andre, currently rounding out the 10. And I thought there was an 11th driver as well, but no, clearly not. Still, it's a very strong points lead there for Jose Eduardo Rodriguez in the chrome class. Very strong points lead for Norbert Kish in the Titan category as well. And they'll be carrying it over to the 2nd race of the afternoon. I'm going to say goodbye for now, everybody. Thanks very much for listening to me, and I'm going to hand down to the wonderful Christina, who's going to round out the show for us.
And we do see a trophy. Interest record. Our English commentator mentioned how the other trophy looks like a shower door, very clean. But this, is a trophy where you can drink the champagne out of it. Congratulations! This is the first win in the Chrome category this season for you, and it's been a spectacular race. What are your thoughts on that?
Over the moon. The team's happy. Everybody's happy, and it's going to make a good start for the weekend for everyone to carry on.
Yeah, we talked about it, that you want to close the gap in the Chrome category, and this is really important to take those points. How did you manage to stay cool in this temperature here?
We had a good start off the line. There was a bit of contact in turn 2, and that just gave me my edge to just get the lead on everybody. And I knew John was behind me, and I know John's a good defender, so I know I could start getting away while John's defending.
Absolutely, and we don't forget that you overall ended on P number 5, and the reverse grid is going to be absolutely spectacular. What do you expect from the following race this later on this day?
I'm hoping it's same as for race number 1, hopefully. But we can only hope.
There's enough space on the cupboard.
Definitely.
Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of the day, because we do see each other again then at 15:45. This is the next live stream, starting with our reverse grid race here at the Autodrom in Most. And as you can see, here are beautiful Goodyear and also the Innovation Camp. As you can see, the fans are really right now having a chat. Also, he made new fans. That's really good, talking to lots of people here. And we're going to talk to you soon that at 15:45. This is the next live stream. See you then.